Thursday, February 9th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk about the COSplay.
Let's do this.
So lately in Midtown, there's been a ton of kind of like new lunch places that open that are chains, but they're like a new chain.
So it's like they're trying to be the next Chipotle?
Yeah, they're trying to be the next Chipotle. It's very clear that they are. And I've decided I like going to these places because they all kind of opened around the same time.
I wish I had some of those places nearby.
They're all not that great. But the thing is, they all are, like, they have managers, and, like, all the staff are, like, crazily well, like, trained, and they're super, shall I warm, sirs, crack pipe?
Oh, it is excelente.
Like, I went into this one today, so my goal is to eat at all these places. One of them is a coffee shop, and actually they had pretty good coffee that cost the same as Starbucks. And it's on the way to Starbucks, so I can shave, like, 30 seconds off of my day.
All right.
But anyway, I went to this place. It was called like 4 Food with a number in it or 2 Food. I don't even remember. But it was way weird. So I walk in and I look at the menu and I don't quite get it. It shows like these donuts, but it's a burger joint. But the menu is like, what donut do you want? And what do you want in the donut? And what do you want with the donut?
All right.
And then this guy in a suit walks over.
But I thought that, that's good. There's not a lot of donuts going on in the city.
They're not donuts. They're beef.
Oh.
So here's the thing. This guy walks over, very well dressed. He's like, "Sir, have you been to our fine establishment before?" And I'm like, Nah, I've never been here. And he's like, "I shall explain to you the many mysteries of our restaurant."
Why it looks like a donut, but
and he proceeds to walk me through the menu. He's like, basically, you build your own lunch. But the deal is, our burgers are shaped like donuts, and the burgers aren't just beef; they can also be chicken or hummus or whatever. There's like 10 kinds. And basically, you go down the line and you pick an item from every column, and when it comes out at the end is a lunch. And like if you get a burger, it's like this donut-shaped burger.
So something goes in the middle.
Yeah, so I got one, and the thing is, if you're uncreative and you can't like figure it out, you can get their pre-made ones, but they all have names. One of them was "They's a raping everybody," and it's a picture of that guy.
What? Really?
Yeah.
It's called "They's a Raping Everybody"?
It doesn't spell out rape, but it is
Okay, in a restaurant.
Yeah, the place, and get this, all the seats had iPads, and you could just like go on the internet with the iPad while you're eating.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. Don't go to that restaurant.
And it was like $10. Like, it was pretty good. The food was okay, but the deal was I got this like beef burger donut on a brioche, and inside of it was a cheese stick like melted into the middle with some jalapenos in it, and I got some fried potatoes, and I don't know, it was pretty good, though they clearly microwave everything behind the scenes.
Oh, you don't get to see?
Nah, you don't get to see. But I don't know, it was kind of weird, and I'm not sure if I liked the place, but the fact that they had a picture of "They's a Raping Everybody" and named one of their burgers after that was... It was most memorable.
I would just go to the place that's been there for a while, that's meat on stick in a box with a miso soup and a rice.
Thing is, if I want stuff like that, I'll go one step further. I go to the Amsabi right by me, and they have like the fanciest rice balls, and you buy like 4 rice balls, and that's your dinner. They're way big. They're way good. Or wait till, if it's warm, and I'll go over to Le Pen Quotidien again. I'm not walking over there now. It is a bit cold.
There's one. Oh my God, it's so warm. Like friggin' yesterday morning was so warm. I was like, oh, it's so warm.
Or when we did the
Maybe,
show,
and I was like,
you came over and you're like, it is fucking cold out there, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
And I was like, the groundhog said early spring, so I'm like, maybe, right? Because the groundhog doesn't see anything. They just
Mark the day on Groundhog Day. The first post was a Photoshop of the groundhog dead, covered in ice, and everyone crying.
Yeah, pretty much the weathermen know if it's going to be an early spring or not, and then they tell the groundhog people whether it is or not, right?
I read somewhere that they're pretty much like not statistically significantly over random, so I don't.
I thought that they were just more recently they've been listening to whatever the weatherman.
I don't
says
know.
to say.
I don't know if they actually do that or not.
Well,
if I were them,
who knows when they started doing it? We should look like 1 year at a time.
So if I were them, you know what I would do? I would actually just do the groundhog thing. However the groundhog reacts is how I would do it.
But how can you tell?
I don't know. You set up a webcam and you put him in his hole and you just wait. And
but how do you know if the groundhog sees a shadow or not?
It's
not like the groundhog says to you, "Oh man, I see it. There it is. There it is. There it is."
So you got to come up with some sort of metric, like once he comes out, because the thing is, he sees a shadow and he runs away. So the first time he pokes his head out, does he get all the way out of the hole and walk off, or does he go right the fuck back in that hole? That's what you do. Maybe make some sort of robotic groundhog.
The thing
that
is,
has
I imagine
sensors.
it would be pretty rare that he goes right back in that hole. And also, what's to guarantee he's going to come out of the hole?
Yeah, he might be frozen to death in there.
Right. It's like, you know, where does the groundhog even live? Don't they? Isn't it like in a zoo or something?
But you were like, it's
and then
cold.
they just carry it out to like the town square.
He's like a pet. I don't know. But you were like, it's cold. I'm like, bullshit. And then I opened the window after you left. And literally, well, I heard this noise and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I go to the window and I don't see anything. I try to open the window and I can't. Like, it won't open. I'm like,
Is
what
this
the
frozen
fuck?
shut?
No, it's not frozen shut. So I go to the balcony and I open that. And the wind almost knocks me over. The wind was so strong.
Oh, yeah,
I
it was a
could
crazy
not open my
wind.
windows.
Yeah.
And it was so cold.
I was like almost feeling like maybe biking will come soon, but then nope, punishment for even thinking
Yeah.
that.
On Monday, I
Just
was
because
like,
I thought about bicycles, it just punished me and was like, oh, I hear Scott's thinking about bicycles. Minus 50 degrees.
God damn it.
Freaking Tetris god and weather god hitting it up, playing ping pong.
I mean, I like skiing.
Fine, peace.
Skiing is one of my favorite things.
Ice peace. Ice peace.
That Tetris God sketch, just for some reason, that's like one of my favorites of all time from them.
It's a good one.
But yeah, also, tonight, I'm going to the symphony. That's why we're actually recording the show a night early. I let the bag out of the cat. But I got a phone call from the Philharmonic today.
Interesting.
And they were like, it was a recording, but it was like, "Dear sir, we would like to inform you, in case you were unaware, that there will be no late seating for the Shostakovich and Beethoven show on Thursday. So if you show up after the appointed time, you will not be allowed in."
With no refund.
No, it says you will not be granted entry, nor will you receive a refund.
That's right.
We humbly suggest that you arrive a full half hour before the event. Thank you and have a wonderful performance.
Yeah, it's just
It
they
was-
got an automatic auto dialer and you bought
Yeah.
a ticket, so you're in the system.
I don't know. I'm digging this because I've been to symphonies in a lot of places, but I feel like Lincoln Center is the one place where 100% of the old etiquette about concerts that people don't seem to goddamn know anymore is still in effect. I
Yeah,
feel like
they have an
nobody's-
intermission. They have, they
I
have
feel
all that
like
stuff.
nobody's gonna clap at the wrong time,
Nope, pretty much not.
and I feel like everyone else there is gonna be wearing a suit just like me.
Yeah, probably.
They better be.
I've been there.
Yeah.
That's how they do.
I was very disappointed when I paid hundreds of dollars a seat to go see a play not that long ago, and it was a really good play with big name people in it, and half the audience was basically wearing jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, well, there's no dress code on Broadway.
Yeah, but this kind of show, I feel like people should have dressed up.
Yeah.
I was disappointed. I'm disappointed, son.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it's really cool.
yeah, it is. So it's Thursday. You can talk about whatever you want. You got something?
Oh, you know what? Yesterday, you want to hear the greatest thing that happened? Because, yesterday, considering that today is Thursday, right?
Did you not go to work?
The greatest thing that happened on Thursday, I got a promotion. I got a promotion from sheriff to federal marshal. We were talking to Scott Earp.
This isn't good because if you talk to us at any point prior to Tuesday of this week, I was the outlaw god. Nobody could fucking beat me. Nobody could beat me. I was just like hands down invincible. It's not looking so good for me at the moment.
Really? You're not just going to lie and say you won like you do with T&E?
Because you beat the ever-living shit out of me.
That's right.
2 days in a row.
Friggin', you know what Rim's new title is?
What's my title?
Swiss DeCoster.
Swiss.
Jeez. Because I
Wow.
put so many holes through you with
I
my,
feel like
with
I
my
have-
sheriff's gun.
Swiss. Okay, you didn't do it.
You're
I was
not good.
wondering. I realized when I said it, you automatically said cheese.
I wanted to say cheese.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you sure that it wasn't some sort of neuro-linguistic?
Well, no, because I wanted people to get the joke. They'd be like, Swiss Rim? What does that have to do with winning an outlaw?
Since when do we expect people to get the joke?
It's because if he's Swiss cheese, I shot him full of holes.
So is that your news? You want to talk about our outlaw exploits?
I could talk about some news also.
Because, I mean, we could play some combat or some maze craze or some Spider-Man. See how you feel.
So anyway, sexism and anti-womanism in the video game world, especially the public online multiplayer gaming world, is not news.
Don't forget racism. A lot of racism.
Yeah, racism, of course, right? But sexism also, right? Just as much. Not news. It's been around. It's going to be around. It ain't going nowhere, right? However, And plenty of feminist gaming blogging people have written about it in the past many times. Most recently, Dick Wolf scenario, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. I mean, we all know it's a problem, and we don't have any good ways to deal with it in the short term.
However, I found a new thing. It's pretty new. That is taken, I think, what is the best approach to this ever, right? And there's a blog called fatuglyOrslutty.com. And on this blog...
Don't Google for that, by the way.
Yeah, go directly to fatuglyOrslutty.com. They post...
Not .org.
screen captures and videos and audio captures, but mostly just screenshots of sexism in multiplayer online video games. So most of them are like pictures of Xbox Live messages. And it's like, stuff, for example, hey, if I bet you can I see you with a thong.
Wow.
Here's
really?
one.
Really?
I'm going to travel back in time, ... find a dinosaur egg, ... bring it back to the future, sit on it till it hatches, raise it, love it, and then watch it mangle your lifeless and helpless carcass while I touch myself inappropriately.
That wasn't really sexist.
Yeah, but basically
that was actually pretty good.
These are things that
that was above the line. I don't know what to call it.
These are things that girls have received as messages while playing games online.
I've received messages like that,
and they don't like them, and they post them in this blog. And some of them are just examples, but this one is I think the most quality, right?
Oh wait. So your news is, hey, so there's this blog of the horrible sexist things people say. Pause. And here's the best goddamn one.
Well, right, because most of them are just like, that's terrible. What is up with that disgusting person? But this one, it's like, okay, even the comments on the blog are like, okay, this guy gets points for being at least funny, right? This guy, his avatar is the picture of the Godfather, and his username is Pick-a-Boss, and he says, keep camping, woman. I hope there's a kitchen in that tent.
Okay.
And one of the comments is even like, man, I want a tent with a kitchen in it. That's some high-tech shit. And I was like, hell, I want to get a tent with a kitchen in it. That is some high-tech shit.
It does sadden me, though. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Counter-Strike lately, and I can literally tell you exactly how many women I have played Counter-Strike with in the last, 6 months. The answer is 1. Literally 1.
And, it's not the only reason, but a big part of the reason is because of the things like you see on this here blog.
What I really don't get, and I want a term for it, because there's like this sliding line of intelligence, but there's sort of a black hole, like a line below which I do not consider something that someone said online to be in any way actually a comment. Like, it's not any more communication of any kind, but some other thing. Kind of like how when I take a dump, I don't consider that communication. I consider it taking a dump.
Yeah, it's weird that it's
like a verbal dump. People post like, "I'm you cocker."
Right. It's like if I'm playing a game and someone's like, "Fuck you, Jew, faggot, rotten hell, Negroes, blah 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 blah."
Like, all right,
fuck shit,
all right,
Osama.
You
and
strung a bunch of words together and nouns and verbs.
Like
and
I
adjectives.
don't even read it or process it, right? But these things apparently are upsetting many female gamers.
Oh no,
who
what I'm
are,
saying is that at least when someone is like, "Fuck you, racist slur," something, at least they formed what is almost a coherent sentence. I feel like most of these, and looking through that blog, it sounds like it's the case there too. They're below that. They don't even make sense in and of themselves. Like the words together in no order or combination actually conveys any message.
Yeah, some of them. But a lot of them are just like,
I mean, my evidence of this is look at the comments on YouTube. Like, who's posting that? Who's saying these things? Like, I want to see the kid who is sitting there.
He's 12.
Dude, but I can't believe all 12-year-olds are that way. How many is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, I have some much more...
No, so wait, there's one more.
This
is an example of a bad one, right? So King of Lulz, whose avatar is Mias Hughes...
Is clearly not... okay. Anyway.
Says, how are you playing Bayonetta? There's no console in the kitchen. And then he says, I can tell if a game is good just by looking at the cover. And it's unrealistic because how did the angels get in Bayonetta's kitchen in the first place?
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of, bad ones that are most of this site.
At least it was still a complete sentence. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Kind of. So this will outrage you on a much more profound level.
Rim, you just love the outrage.
I love the outrage.
You should make an outrage podcast. It's like outrage cast.
You know what grinds my gears? So this is a story from North America.
Here's
It's
a
from,
story from
North Carolina, in fact. North Raleigh.
North
And a citizen of the United States has been accused, and it looks like there will be a court case about that. There's an investigation, a criminal
They're a
investigation underway.
suspect.
He's been accused of practicing engineering without a license.
Do you need a license to engineer?
So, thus the problem. Basically, what happened here?
I mean,
is
you need a
that-
license to doctor,
Yeah,
and you need
do.
a license to be an auctioneer,
However,
and you need a license to drive a car.
I believe a lot of those things, they're all different situations, but consider the case of a doctor, right? I cannot pretend to be a doctor unless I'm actually a doctor. I cannot go operate on someone unless I am a doctor, right?
Yeah.
But what if I state an opinion that is related in some way to medicine, just out in the open, like on my blog or something?
That's called freedom of speech. You just can't say that you're a doctor, and,
And
you
all
can't
right.
present it as medical advice, just like you can't say
Yeah.
this is legal advice.
So, see, you're expecting where the story is going to go. So here's I'm going to head you off. The deal was a city, North Raleigh, was like, we don't think we need to put a traffic light somewhere. Like, they decided they didn't need signals at these two intersections, and they hired an engineering firm, which said, gave their opinion that they weren't needed. And the people in town basically said, this is kind of bullshit. We don't agree with you. One of the guys in town who felt strongly about it, who is not an engineer or anything, put together in a short, simple 8-page document where he just stated his opinion. He showed map. Here, quote, 8-page document with maps, diagrams, and traffic projections. And he offered this to the city saying, look, I think we should have one, regardless of what that engineering firm says. Here's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the city said, we disagree with you. And to quote the article, Lacey, who is the chief traffic engineer for the state Department of Transportation, called the state licensing agency, the new North Carolina Board of Examiners for Engineers and Surveyors, to investigate him because, quote, he filed the complaint because the report appeared to be engineering level work by someone who is not licensed as a professional engineer. At no point did this person claim to be an engineer, claim to any of these things, work as an engineer, accept money. For all he did was state his opinion publicly and mail it to the city. And the city is accusing him of practicing engineering without a license, not because he practiced engineering, but because the opinion he gave, quote, appeared to be well done.
Well, if the court doesn't throw this out, this sounds to me like, who knows what the law for engineering licenses is?
I was looking onto that. This is someone who claimed to be a lawyer actually said, and I'll paraphrase here,
Claiming to be a lawyer, that's dangerous.
that if you strictly read the law and the statutes and all the things that they're referring to, which I couldn't actually find online, it basically forbids anyone from observing any professional performing any service needed for the planning or completion of virtually any civic project for any evaluatory purposes whatsoever, even if it is only for a personal opinion. It also
Whoa.
particularly cites if you use math or if you compare the work to drawings or plans.
Well, that's clearly unconstitutional First Amendment situation right
Now,
there.
here's where this really bothers
That's like
me.
cut and dry.
Because I feel like this is a problem in
No,
America.
I think it's pretty obvious that both that law and this person using that law were created and do exist for the purposes of covering up corruption. The town didn't want to spend money on traffic lights, so instead they spent a little bit less money to get some engineers to put a rubber stamp on the you don't need traffic lights
So people called
so
this
that they
guy.
could save money, and it was just corruption.
People called this guy out on his bullshit. And I have a quote from him when he was basically presented with the fact that,
So this is a quote from the State Department of Transportation
this is
guy,
for the guy.
who's the bullshitter.
when you start applying the principles for trip generation and route assignment, applying judgments from engineering documents and national standards, and making recommendations, that's technical work that a licensed engineer would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his rationale, that because the guy was competent and intelligent and had basic reasoning skills, that he does no longer have the right to freedom of speech.
I think this guy should run. Is an elected position to be head of DOT?
I have no idea.
He should run for that
But let's
position,
put this one
or
step further, because
he
we have
should vote for someone who will appoint him to that
Because
position.
we have a problem in the U.S. where we have free speech, but we restrict commercial speech, and I agree with both of those 100%.
Yep.
But we have a situation where there are a lot of
This is
things-
political speech. It's the first speech that's
but there
protected.
are things that are free speech that are regulated nonetheless. For example, it is very tricky as to whether, like, to what degree me stating my opinion on a law becomes giving legal advice. And the actual laws about that, as I was trying to read
It's
them
only
all,
advice if you specifically say you should do this. And
Yep.
if you just say, I believe this, and that this is the same
all right,
this.
so here's the problem. But by that logic, almost every senior IT engineer in America is breaking that on a regular basis, because one of the primary things that these people will do, and none of them are lawyers, is give internal advice as to open source licensing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things are technically illegal under those sorts of regulations. And at least in this case, I can say that I am an engineer. I've worked as an engineer for many, many years. My title is currently...
I don't think you need a license to be an engineer in New York.
I don't think so. But then again, maybe...
I could be wrong.
Maybe you need one to be a civil engineer.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But I mean, to be a civil engineer that actually would do something like actually survey a bridge, sure, that's okay if you need a license to do that. You know?
Yeah, but at the same
I
time,
wouldn't
what
want
if...
so- I
what-
wouldn't
but
want-
at the same time,
I wouldn't
what
want
if...
some guy just doing the actual surveying work for the bridge who was just
Yes,
some guy.
yes, but Scott, what if I am not an engineer or a surveyor, but it's my hobby? So I go out to the bridge, I get the permission to do it, you know, tripods and whatever, and I survey the bridge on my own for fun, and I put it on my blog.
That's fine. As long as we're not making the bridge or making adjustments to the bridge based on you.
All right, so what
Then
is... So
it's all
here's the
good.
problem. According to some of these laws, it looks like you could get in trouble if someone else, unbeknownst to you, used the information you publicly made available to then make a decision.
Well, that law's bullshit. They should get in trouble for using your information because that would be copyright infringement, would it not?
Perhaps, but using someone's information is not copyright infringement. It's only if you redistribute it in its original
True.
form or in a replacement form.
But anyway, if I do a big report and that report is made available under a not depending on what license I make that available under, I guess no. I don't know. That's tough. Like
Yeah.
if I architect a bridge and then I put my plans online, but if you make the bridge that I made plans for and I put the plans online, it would clearly be copyright infringement if you took my all rights reserved blueprints and copied them and gave them to everybody.
Oh, there's a minor
But
update.
if you make the bridge, it's like if I make some sheet music and I put it online, right? And you pass the sheet music around, that's copyright infringement. But what if you played the song? Do I have any claim to that? If you make a YouTube of you playing the song that does not include the sheet music?
There's a whole body of law that I'm not familiar enough with. You know what?
So that would be the
Scott,
same
wait,
thing
no,
as
Scott,
building.
You know what? I cannot legally give my opinion.
I'm just saying that would be the same. This is the same situation legally as far as I see
Plus,
it.
you
As
can't
if I
publicly-
make blueprints and you build the bridge
Plus,
without
Scott,
me saying so.
You can't publicly perform, for example, a cover of something unless you have the ASCAP licenses.
Mm.
But there's a little update here. Andrew Ritter, the executive director of the engineering licensing board in the state, said that it'll take 3 or 4 months to investigate this. But some follow-up here, it looks like they admitted that they receive things like this all the time, that the Department of Transportation constantly receives this sort of thing from citizens who are pissed off about one or other decision they made.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time they've ever taken action against someone because the quality of the work was too high. And that it appeared to be an unlicensed engineer as opposed to simply a concerned citizen.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like they want to criminalize knowledge.
Being smart?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he
instead,
went on
what they
to
should do
say-
is they should bust the people who
He
send
went on
in
to
shit
say
that's
that
too
he
dumb.
sort of agrees with this. Quote, he said there's a potential for violation if the Department of Transportation and the public were misled by, quote, engineering quality work, unquote, even if the authors did not actually claim to be engineers. All right, I'm done with my outrage. This is just...
yeah.
I point this out because things like this happen pretty regularly, and this is just one specific example I happened to pick up from FARC, and it's not getting a lot of press, and I don't know if I'll bother following up on it 4 months from now when I've forgotten and I have some new outrage, but you should be outraged, and if anything like this ever happens to you, fight the goddamn fight to the end.
Anti-intellectualism, number one enemy.
So with things of the day.
Oh, man. So this thing of the day was all over the internet, so whatever. I'm going to show it to you anyway. Some dude, he told the story of Star Wars, only he told it in icons. So it's...
All icons? Like nothing but?
Yeah, so it's retold in iconoscope. So it's 32 lines long, and each line has these just little graphics with little pictures of droids and floppy disks and Lukes and lightsabers
So
and
you
Millennium
realize
Falcons. And
you realize that 4,000 years from now, archaeologists are trying to pierce back to what happened during our century based on those hieroglyphics.
Quite possible, but they might not last because they're in JPEG form. So they may not survive, and they also, may not have the JPEG cipher. They'll need the JPEG Rosetta Stone first.
So there's a reason that we can't have nice things in America, and partly it's that
because anyone who's smart gets in trouble for being a fake engineer.
No, also because if anything is in a public space, it eventually gets peed on and written on.
That's true.
Without exception. If it's in a public place long enough.
Don't forget pooped on.
The number, and it's a function, not just that. It's how long something has been there, and it's also a function of the number of human beings who encounter it on a daily basis, on average.
Yep.
And the higher those are, you are guaranteed to have poop, urine, and graffiti.
Yes.
No matter what. This is why we can't have capsule hotels, because they would become hobo hotels.
Yep.
Followed by poop hotels.
Yep. Well, the other thing is that, right? So in other countries, why don't they have hobo hotels? Because if a hobo shows up, they say, "Get the fuck out of here, hobo," and they.
or some countries have social safety nets that make sure the people who have mental problems that lead them to living on the streets get the help they need.
Not that many, though. A lot of, in Japan, there's plenty of homeless people. But if a homeless bum tries to go to a capsule hotel, they'll just run him out of there and hit him with sticks or whatever. Right? In the U.S., you can't do that.
But the other
you
thing
just go,
is,
"Oh, it's a hobo."
The other thing is that in general, I mean, even if it's not hobos, it's just stuff that's in public gets pissed on and written on.
People got to pee. Well, I think a real solution to the peeing is public bathrooms.
Yeah, but then they get full of hobos. And so the New York City subway is one of the best subways in the world. The only factor it lacks is cleanliness.
Well, I mean, it's so old. It used to be clean.
It is relatively clean. It's just that it's not that pretty on the inside. Meanwhile, Sweden, this is some awesome shit. Here are just a bunch of pictures of subway stations in Sweden. I don't know what strikes me more. The fire red sky painting on the rock, the classical statues carved into the bedrock from which the subway was wrought, maybe the giant Tolkien-esque column that was built just in the middle for fun.
Well, Sweden's totally metal, right? So it's like...
There's the statue that looks like it's Odin or Thor or something. There's a Pac-Man ghost.
Well,
Yeah,
it's the ghost of Odin.
Also, it's clean enough to where I would not
Is it Inky, Binky, Pinky, or Clyde?
I would not feel that uncomfortable rolling around naked in here.
Is it Clyde? All right. You want to roll around naked with Clyde? Is that what it is?
But before we move on, the meta moment, always important. The book club book is still Michio Kaku's Hyperspace. Scott has finished reading it. Have you finished reading it?
Nope.
Will you finish reading it?
Well, I figured we just did a book club. Give it some time. I didn't want to rush it.
When are we going to put the book club site up?
When I'm not lazy. I'm working.
I did all that data entry.
My problem is I got too many things I'm working on, and I haven't. They're all 90% done.
I've gotten to the point where I have simple projects that it'll take me an hour to finish, and I don't have a whole hour to do it.
There's an old saying in the computer world: the first 90% of the work takes 90% of the time, and the last 10% of the work takes the other 90% of the time. So I've done the first 90% of the work for like 100 things, and the last 90% of the work for like one thing.
Yep. But independent of that, we're going to be at PAX Boston, Bitch PAX. We're doing 5 panels in 3 panel slots.
Yep.
We're going to be at ZenkaiCon the weekend after that doing a bunch of stuff. We're going to be at Nerd NYC in a few days doing the board game night and Think Coffee.
Yep.
As always, if you want to meet us and you live in the New York City area, come to the Nerd NYC board game nights once a month and Think Coffee in Manhattan. We're there. We'll totally hang out with you and play a board game. Unless you smell.
Yeah, there's a podcast known as Atomic Trivia Award 9000.
Yes, Scott is going to be a contender.
I'm going to be on it, I guess, tomorrow. I don't know when they air it, but I'm recording
Scott,
it tomorrow.
I will warn you, because I did Quiz Bowl a lot in high school, and I will tell you this.
He told me there's no ringing in, so...
It doesn't matter. No matter how smart you are, any quiz show, no matter how simple it is, will make you look stupid.
No kidding.
Because
you don't say, especially since I don't know pretty much any famous people or any trivia stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, even like simple stuff, like maybe you know the whole history of the Roman Empire.
And I'm not gonna cheat and use the internet either.
No?
No.
But you play to win the game.
But he said there's no winning.
Yeah, there is.
He said he's just for lols. There's no winning. So
There's winning.
if there's a prize, I'll cheat. But until then, I'm not gonna cheat.
Anyway, I think that'll be fun. I'm only not going because I have a prearranged thing that I'm going to.
Also, make sure you check us out on the internet.
Yeah,
So
our forum's been rocking.
go to
Our forum-
frontrecruit.com, go to forum.frontrecruit.com.
Our forum is
go
not
to
like other internet forums.
Go to twitter.com/geeknights. Go to everything that is us on the internet. So
I
it's
know
all over the place.
listeners who listen forever, we've been saying this a lot lately, but it's been working. You've noticed all the people coming into the forum? It's not because of our show at MagFest. It is definitely because of these talkings.
Yes.
A lot of lurkers are coming out of the woodwork. And yeah, other than that, we've got a bunch of big stuff in the works. You saw that shit video we did not that long ago. We got more to come.
More shit videos coming, and then hopefully with enough shit video practice, there'll be quality video.
Well, I do have a real 1080p, 60 frames a second, awesome HD camera sitting in front of me right now that I'm still learning how to use.
Yeah, you spend a lot of money, and then it's like you get to buy fancy golf clubs, and you still hit it way out into the woods.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get there.
And
but,
I bought a $1,000 golf club instead of a $100 golf club, and it's in the water.
But you gave me shit about buying skis. You're like, how much do you ski? I calculated that they've already saved me a few $100s.
Right.
I've
That's
owned
just
them long
because ski rental is a ripoff.
Not really a rental. I mean, $30 for a day of skiing, including the sizing and the liability and everything. Is
And
not
how
that
much
bad.
is a ski?
$200.
Right. So if you ski like 7 times,
Yeah.
you're good.
However, if you don't take care of your skis, they will suck long before you have skied 7 times.
Really? They wear out that fast, huh?
No, it's more that they'll like rust, and you probably won't know how to wax them.
They're made of
and-
metal?
There's edges that are metal.
I thought that they were made out of either wood or some sort of composite situation.
So they're made out of some composite with a wood or metal core, but the bottom surface is something called P-Tex,
P-Tex.
which is it soaks up wet. I'm not going to get into
It's
it.
a
Suffice it to
sponge?
say, kind of, yeah. Basically, I'm at the point where I wax my own skis and I do like all my own stuff, and I can tell the difference now.
Wait, so you put the wax on the bottom of the ski?
Yeah.
On top of the P-Tex? So
and then it melts into the P-Tex.
What the fuck? Oh, whatever.
Yeah. And I got to melt it in. I use a hairdryer and an iron and all this stuff. Anyway.
That's crazy.
So yeah, Geeknights. Our forum is not full of shit.
You already did that.
Yeah, but we did. It's an ivory tower. We kick people out who can't enjoy.
I'm saying the meta moment's over.
It's not. It's over.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you doing the show on?
We are doing the show on something we unbelievably have never done the show on before, which is one of the main, most popular rising geekeries. It's been rising for many years. It's still very high up there. It has not been seeing any decrease. If anything, it's still seeing an increase.
It's something that, you'd think, oh, this should be an anime show because you always see this at the anime cons. You see it just as much at the gaming cons. You see it at football games. You
Yep.
see it just in the street. You see it at parties. This is actually, it's everywhere in geek culture and in non-geek culture.
Yep.
Of course, we're talking about the COSplay.
The COSplay. There's
AKA costume wearing,
Yes.
costume play.
Well, there's all the costume making and the costume wearing. Are they the same, right?
So, Scott,
isn't
I
the
know-
cosplay only referred to the costume? Not even. It's just that cosplay is actually isn't that a subset of costume wearing? Not
Yeah.
only are you wearing it, but you're also acting in the character or actually performing a play as that character.
Yep. Of course, then if you want to get into the anime stuff, they get all the way down to, well, is it the masquerade or the costume contest or the
Now, well, the costume contest judges the costume making skills, right? But the costume, masquerade counts your cosplaying skills.
Well, it counts. Oh, never mind. I am so sick of those events that it's almost painful to talk about them. So, Scott,
yeah.
I don't know how much you have this problem, but I mean, when I put on my fursuit, the zipper always.
Maybe
We're not
you should
talking about
maybe you should
fursuits.
lose some weight. I get the thing with cosplay, right, is that, it's a legitimate geekery just as every other geekery is legitimate geekery, right? And we want people to participate in as many geekeries as is possible. We have in our Geeknights, we love all geekeries, even if we personally don't like them. Like, I personally don't like Star Trek, but if someone likes Star Trek, I want them to be a Star Trek geek,
Yep.
Embrace the geekdoms,
I think
whatever
Star
your
Wars
geekdom may
novels
be.
are unreadable. I also think Harry Potter is like
Awful.
it is physically
worst.
painful for me
Stupid.
to attempt to read Harry Potter.
Just stick
that
with Books
writing,
of Magic by Neil Gaiman instead.
That writing is like knives into my eyes.
All right.
I weep.
But, whether we like or don't like cosplay, right? There are many people who like or don't like cosplay or cosplayers or typical cosplayers or stereotypes of cosplaying. But that doesn't mean that it's no good or it should go away or we should get rid of it. No, we should have as many geekeries as we can possibly get, and we should get as many geeks as we can possibly get, no matter what their geekeries may be.
What's funny is that as a kid, like the only cons I went to were basically small gaming cons like Michicon and Renaissance fairs and LAN parties, I guess. And as a result, I never really saw a costume culture. I mean, Renaissance fair, yeah, everyone's in a costume. I don't think I ever saw anyone in a costume at a gaming con as a kid, except for always, without exception, that one fat guy in chainmail.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty much it.
The thing with cosplay, right, is when I was young, costumes are pretty much for Halloween or for, I guess like Broadway shows and things like that, right? There were costumes weren't for anything else. I guess maybe also amusement parks, that'd be the costumed characters, right? But, early on, the first anime cons I went to, like OhioCon and for Otakon 02, right? The cosplay was interesting to me then because it was like, for me at least, the enjoyment was, holy crap, that guy is in a costume that is not you can't see that costume anywhere. It's like, that guy's dressed up as something obscure that there is no costume you can buy in a box. He's not dressed up as, a Ninja Turtle like I was for Halloween.
He's dressed up as Vampire Hunter D.
Right. And oh my God, it's a high quality costume. He actually looks like Vampire Hunter D. That's so awesome. Or there was also the awesomeness of, oh my God, that cosplay is so clever and hilarious. If I put a picture of that on the internet, people will lol. Jewish Wolfwood.
I was about to say, Jewish Wolfwood pretty much wins that.
Yeah.
All other things with him aside, the one time he did that cosplay was
He's
most
also been
memorable.
on this show.
He was on this show.
Yeah.
Long
time ago.
We interviewed him about some bullshit Otakon drama, in fact.
Yeah, whatever. Wow, that was a lot. So anyway, that for me, that was the enjoyment of seeing cosplays, was ones that were clever, ones that were like high quality, like, wow, look at that, that's pretty awesome looking, or just, the sheer novelty factor of, wow, that's in a costume, you're not going to see that anywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't until
right?
RIT that I was like, oh man, because I always liked wearing costumes. Like when I was in high school, I'd dress up as something and go to a Halloween party, and then I rarely had cause to ever put on a costume.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so big a fan of wearing a costume, mostly because a lot of costumes are uncomfortable, right? Especially if there's some sort of like, strange accessories involved, or for like face paint, it's always going to get you all greasy and bled, and you got to wash it off, and that sort of stuff, depending on the costume. Some costumes are just regular clothes, and those costumes I don't have that problem with because they're just regular clothes.
But going to these cons, mostly it was all girls dressed up, and they were really cute, a lot of cat girls and that sort of thing. So I was digging it already.
When you're very young.
Yeah, very young.
Now
I was like 19.
Yeah, but now that's kind of scary because you're like 28.
And they're like 14.
Yeah, it's like,
It was better when I was 19 and they were also 19.
It was. Those days are over.
Yeah, I used to go to the masquerades too because back then...
Well, I watched a few simulcasts.
Yeah, but I mean, I went to like Anime Central. I went to them and they were enjoyable to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the masquerade, right, which is separate, at least, at an anime con, is that these people are putting on skits most of the time, right? The people walking across the stage, it's pretty much the same as the hallway stuff, except the fact that some people bring out the big guns just for that.
So I realized something. The skits are not worse than they were then, but the masquerades are. And I think...
How is that?
So I've realized this.
Because, the skits were always usually really bad, and there would always be one or two that had something good about them.
Yes. So here's what's different. Every masquerade I ever went to, back when I went to masquerades, the whole thing was actually really short. It was like a half hour, 45 minutes tops.
I don't know. The Otakon ones are always at least an hour.
I never went
to
the fucking Otakon
I saw
ones.
the simulcast while I was waiting for some horrible movie to start.
I knew better.
The same room.
I didn't go to the Otakon ones. I went to the ones, all these other anime cons that were smaller, and they were like a half hour. And every skit was like 2 or 3 minutes, and they were all stupid.
They all had time limits on them.
Yeah. And just because there were less of them, the novelty was enough to where you could enjoy it. But I can't sit through 2 hours of the same gay joke.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
the same, oh shit, we talk really badly and we're not actually acting, and then we do the caramel dancing. Yay!
I think part of the problem that they're so bad is that they have simultaneously they have too many limitations and also not enough limitations, right? they limit them in ways that restrict them that keep them from being quality and creative. Like, you can't futz with the lighting, right? So I couldn't do a skit that involved like a spotlight that follows someone and then turn all the lights on and then do a blue color, you know. You can't, so it's basically everything's lit all at once. So you can't even do like, you know, keep something in the dark while you rearrange a set piece or anything like that, right? So that really restricts the quality of your production if you can't even control the lights or anything like that. And because there are so many problems of people not being able to like use microphones properly or project their voice properly, a lot of cosplays I know do stuff where it's like you have to provide an audio file of your audio and you don't get to talk on a microphone. There aren't any. So you just had to do your skit in sync with this audio, if that involves lip syncing or whatever.
I think it's easy to fix. And if I was a head of cosplay at a big con like Otakon, I would have this shit down so fast because I learned a lot running, you know, the first spring cosplay at RIT Anime back in the day and doing our costume contest and everything. And I realized if I were Otakon or some big anime con, what I would do is all year, you've got to send in a video, an audition. And I would pick.
They do have those, though, but they do them at the con.
Yeah, I would do this ahead of time. You have to send a video like 4 months deadline ahead of the con. We will pick the best 10 or 15 or so and then work with them directly to have them.
I wouldn't even set a number, right? I would say we're only going to pick the ones that are good enough. And if it's 0, it's 0.
No, that doesn't work.
It works.
That's actually kind of a bad way to handle it.
Why? Because they're all going to be terrible anyway.
Nah, if you set it up like that, the first couple years, they'd be pretty slim pickings. But then while you'd lose the shitty... Oh, wait, there's no bad drawback. It's perfect. It just requires more work on the part of the staff.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, anyway.
No, but the thing is, right, here's why I don't have confidence in this plan, right, is because look at Cosplay Chess. Cosplay Chess is that thing. Basically, these people will actually meet and prepare all year for this Cosplay Chess. They write it and prepare it.
But
and in the end,
chess,
it's still terrible.
Cosplay Chess is like 4 hours long.
Even if it was only 10 minutes long, these people practice and prepare for so long, and it's not good in the end.
Or how about this? You do the same masquerade as always, but then at the end of it, you show the 3 best skits from the separate send us a submission if you want to be the real people that get real microphone skits. So you have like the real ones, like real tier and shit tier, and you separate the two.
I guess you could do something like that, but it's not going to help that much, right?
No, well, the root problem, and I don't want to dwell on this much more, is that people eat that up. Do you know, we got a lot of feedback from Kineticon last year, and
very true.
You know, people said the panels were the best they'd ever seen at Kineticon.
And they notified us of all the problems we already knew existed.
Yep, but like everything was great. But half of the positives we got were specific awesome panels that we agreed were awesome. And the whole other half were Cosplay Chess is the best thing ever. Oh my God. And I've seen Cosplay Chess. What the fuck?
People just like that shit.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but they like it, so let them have it.
I say let them have it too. But
no one's forcing me to watch it.
But remember, I mean, we used to have to judge costume contests. Like
I've done it a couple times.
At RIT Anime, we had to do it.
Yep.
And at CitiCon, we were actually the celebrity judges. That was awkward because they do their skit, and then we, as the judges, and there were like 3 or 4 other people on the panel, would have to like ask them questions on stage. And some of them were okay, and some of them were really sad, and it was really hard to come up with questions for
The thing is, I don't know why we were doing that, because I've never seen anyone ask questions of a skit at another cosplay besides that one.
Well, because we were
at
supposed
Otakon, they go up, they do their skit, they get off.
Because they didn't have that many, and it was a small con, and we were supposed to all be funny.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it seemed, I mean, for the 6 people in the audience, it definitely was. Yeah, we did cosplay, like, for real, only once ever at an
Well, we've
Otakon.
also, there was, the RIT Anime Club had an annual costume
Oh
contest.
my God, I was famous for my half-assed, not even half-assed. It was like an eighth of an ass was what I put into that, because I had no money, I had no time.
The Oh My God is cosplay?
I think
The
that was the
movie?
best one. No, that one I took our curtains, I wrapped around my waist.
And then you had a piece of felt that you rotated 90 degrees, so it was now a diamond, right?
Yep,
so it was
and
a
then
triangle in the front, a triangle in the back.
And I glued it, and I put that over my shoulders, and then I glued a diamond of felt to my forehead, and I wore white pants.
Yep.
I didn't even get to shave that day. It looked awful.
Yeah.
Even worse.
I did the initial D car, which was a car made out of poster board that I attached 2 LEDs to the front. and put some straps so I could wear it over my shoulders. And it might still be in the anime club library somewhere, maybe.
That was lost, I heard.
Was it? They
I heard it's gone.
They lost my car.
I heard the car is gone.
I worked so hard to make that car.
I heard a lot of the things we left behind are gone.
My car.
I did the one, what's his name? The sniper guy from
Go
Final
13?
Fantasy VIII. I dressed up as him because I had the trench coat, I had the hat. But one, I lost the hat, so I couldn't wear it. So my costume was half-assed to that point. I basically took my trench coat, taped some fake fur around the neck, and then to make his shirt, I bought a square of felt and I made the front half of a shirt because I couldn't afford enough felt to also make the back half, and I duct taped it to my chest.
Yeah. One time the anime club people decided to do Star Ocean, and I knew nothing about Star Ocean.
Me and Greg dressed up as the dragons that stand on either side of the guy.
Yep.
So I wore a red suit, he wore a blue suit, and we taped signs written in marker to our chest that said dragon.
Yeah. And I was supposed to be some character. I don't even know what the character was. And we basically went to the Goodwill, and they're like, bought a white shirt and a vest, and then I wore Rim's trench coat. And I guess people said that was the character. I'm like, okay, I don't even know this character's name or anything. Whatever. They decided on Star Ocean theme.
But at that one Otakon, we got a whole bunch of the front row crew, like 10 or so people, to dress up as the Axe Gang.
It was pretty good.
I realized
we did a good job.
Exactly why people cosplay at cons, because basically what it means is everybody's paying attention to you, even though you might not deserve it. Our costume was not that great.
Nope. But there was some cleverness to it in that we actually had a gang, and the Axe Gang was sort of an obscure thing. So the people who are new to cons or whatever were like, oh my God, there's people dressed up as a thing that you'll never see people dressed up as.
Oh my
ever.
God, the Axe Gang. And we were doing the dance, and we had little axes.
Yeah, we bought little axes from like the dollar store.
Those are actually hard to find, I remember.
Really? Little plastic axes?
Yeah,
we bought the fireman's kit.
Yeah, there was that one fireman set, and we bought all the ones that they had at the KB Toys by RIT, and we got someone else who lived further away to
you know where we could get a whole bunch of those? At the KB Toys in Atlantic City.
That we could. But that was good times.
Yeah, I mean, it was, on the one hand, right, it was kind of annoying because it was really hot in the summer and the costume was very warm, right, because it was actual dress clothes and not shorts and a T-shirt. And also, it's like if you want attention, congratulations, you've got attention and people are taking pictures of you. If that's what you wanted, awesome, you win. But basically, you can't walk anywhere because people keep stopping you and asking you to take their picture, and you're blocking the hallway, and it's terrible.
All right, Scott made this rule.
And if you actually want to do something at the con, you can't do it while wearing a costume, even if the costume was normal clothes, which it was in that case.
Scott made this rule, and I agree with it 100%, and we need it to spread. If anyone at a convention ever blocks a hallway to take a picture or is causing a physical space disruption because they have a space cleared to take a picture, just walk right through. They have no right or excuse to block the hall like that. Just walk right through their picture. Just don't even care. I feel like everybody needs to start doing that.
Yeah, if they're in an aisle or whatever, if they're, do not allow someone to use walking space for picture taking.
Now, don't be a dick.
In Japan, they say there's no picture taking allowed inside. They don't even let cosplayers into the conventions. They force them to stay outside. They don't let them in because it blocks the hallways and it's way too crowded.
Now, don't be a dick and go out of your way, like walk over into the corner, like photobomb everybody.
No. But go to any blog that has pictures of Japanese cosplayers. They will always be outside or in some sort of designated cosplaying area.
They also put any costume I've ever seen in the U.S. to shame.
Yeah, well, they put a lot more work into it, and they have more skills, and etc.
One thing I can say is that anime cons aside, like if you go to a PAX or any non-anime culture con, they're like the average individual cosplay is higher quality, and there's far fewer of them. As a result, they garner way more attention.
I haven't really paid attention because
I'm so jaded. I'm like, oh, there's a big fruit fucker, whatever. And meanwhile, there's a crowd of like 40 people, like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like at this point, going to so many conventions, cosplay just sort of like I don't even see it. Like you have to point it out to me, like, look at that. Like it might as well be a person in regular clothes. Like I don't even recognize it. Or it doesn't process in the brain whatsoever.
It has to be something way clever or way over the top.
It has to stand out from the crowd, right, in some way that I'll actually notice it.
I'm talking like guys on stilts don't even faze me at this point.
Right. It's got to, not only does it have to stand out somehow so that it catches my eye, but it also has to be recognizable. There's so many times lately my problem is I go to a con, someone's cosplaying as something, and I see them and I say guy, and my brain says cosplay guy, and that's maybe at most, right? But that guy was actually cosplaying as something that I really like and I'm totally into. And later someone will be like, Scott, did you see the cosplay of such and such from whatever? And I'd be like, no. They'd be like, there it is. And I'd be like, oh, I saw that. And I didn't realize that's what it was because it was a cosplay. It didn't even enter my brain. You know, it's
well,
like...
there's also, it's funny that back in the day, I used to always, like at conventions, I dressed actually less nerdy, geeky than I do now. And I'd usually wear like a collared shirt, maybe a tie. Like I was always kind of dressed up at conventions. And people would always stop me to take pictures. They thought I was cosplaying as like Kaji or something. Or they didn't even know. Like one time a guy stopped me.
That
for
does
some
happen a
blog.
lot. When I was at Kineticon and we had those little headsets with the things, right,
Yep.
to walk around, somebody was like, are you on a... And I'm like, what? Are
I was
you
like-
on a...
I was
What?
like, no, I'm the head of
I
panels.
thought that they were asking if I was staff, and I was like, yeah, I'm staff. And they're like, can I take your picture? I'm like, all right. But they were actually asking if I was the scout from Team Fortress 2 because he has the headset thing. They thought that I was the scout.
What I used to say is every time someone asked me, I'd be like, I'm dressed up as Ikatani from Initial D.
Yeah, he wears
Just
a
t-shirt.
he wears jeans and a polo shirt.
Yeah, Itsuki, just a t-shirt.
Just jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm Itsuki.
But people would, at one point, I remember this very vividly. I don't know what con it was, but someone stopped me and they took my picture, and I was like, what do you think I'm cosplaying as? And he looked at me and he didn't have an answer and he's kind of wandered away. And it was just such a weird experience.
Maybe he just, had the hots for you. There's
Maybe.
a lot of those cosplay photo people.
Oh my God, there's
Not
always that
all
one
of them. but
Otakon every year. There's that one fat guy who has a super awesome DSLR, and he is just taking pictures of cleavage and being super creepy.
Yep, there's plenty of guys like that. No shortage. I want to address the one issue, right? Is that in the cosplay community, there's loads of drama.
How do you people have so much drama? Jesus fucking Christ!
Right, but a lot of the drama is, the way we as gamers hate on, for example, Farmville people, or the way that comic fans will hate on people who read the kind of comics that they don't read. Whatever, the regular superhero guys will hate the manga people and vice versa, and the indie people hate everybody, right? The cosplay people seem to have that same hate for the people who wear a Naruto headband and draw some whiskers on their face and think that they're cosplay.
But they also hate each other, like, oh, that costume's too good. It was clearly mass manufactured and blah, blah, blah.
And yeah, they hate anyone who buys a costume also, right? And it's like, okay, I don't really see somebody wearing the Naruto headband the same as a Farmville player. I see them more as a Street Fighter player who mashes the buttons and doesn't get any hits, right? They're playing the same game, right? They're playing the highest skill game. They just have really low skill.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to hate them because they're trying. I mean, I'm not going to give them any recognition because they're sucking.
Scott, don't
You don't
hate
win
the
it.
player, hate the game.
No, I'm not hating the game either,
Nah,
or the player. I'm just saying, man, you're
What
just
is
not good.
cosplay? If you boil it down, it's wearing costumes in public is just one tiny piece of social currency. The Naruto headband is like throwing pennies at people.
Yeah.
It's like, here you go, penny. Got pennies. Anyone want a penny?
Yep. And if that's that's what you're gonna do, be my guest. It doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Your Naruto headband isn't costing me any money.
But Bodily Magfest had almost, like, it's weird. It had very little cosplay,
That's true.
but the one cosplay that stood out, you can tell when things stand out.
There was some Team Fortress 2 cosplays.
No, there was one.
There was some zombie type, a lot of zombie-ish
So,
cosplays going on.
I love, like, it was Tom
There was
Servo.
nobody.
It was Tom Servo. But
okay.
it was a Tom Servo puppet that itself was dressed up as Lena Inverse.
Yes, that was crazy seeing that specific combination.
Because that
At
is,
MagFest.
yeah, that's an anime con thing.
Yeah, at MagFest, we didn't see any Colossus cosplays.
Yeah.
Which is the convention of Colossus. What the fuck? No, but yeah, that is one. That's back to what I was saying at the beginning about the clever cosplays. I love clever cosplays. And one subset of clever cosplay that I really like is the combo cosplay. You cosplay as something, cosplaying as something.
There's
like
the guys who go to Otakon
cosplaying
every
as
year.
the tentacle,
Yep.
which is cosplaying as Link.
They dress up as the tentacles who are also cosplaying. Or at RIT, our friend Combat, he had this. They were all freshmen in the anime club, and they stole this traffic safety barrel.
Oh yeah.
And they kept bringing it to the club like it was their friend. Like
they dressed up as safety barrel.
Well, what they do is they'd bring it in, they'd wear shirts with it, and they'd like set it in a seat like it was just at the club. And then at the spring cosplay, they dressed it up as Naruto.
And it was safety barrel Naruto.
And inside of it, they had a guy wearing an orange shirt who I think was Kanban himself.
Maybe. I forget who was actually in it.
I'm pretty sure it was Kanban.
It was one of those people in the troublemakers
I can say this.
group.
I saw a picture of that group not that long ago. I was looking through old pictures I'd taken.
Mm-hmm.
They look like 12-year-old little kids.
They were.
Like, I can't even get by how young they look.
Yeah, they were.
And then I look at pictures of us, and we don't look that much younger.
No. But anyway, yeah. Is there anything else to say about cosplays? I have no cosplay making skills.
Nah, I'm famous for my lack of cosplaying making skills. Or
I guess,
wearing skills.
cosplay does have a lot of crossover, right? Because it crosses over into the animes and the comics and the games.
Steampunk
and
as its
and
own
the
thing.
and the sci-fi.
Yep.
And people cosplay as like historical figures.
Yep. SCA stuff, Renaissance fairs.
You can do Civil War reenactments.
Furries.
Like all kinds of stuff.
Can't forget the furries.
It's this one geekery that, much like we always say, you should learn technology no matter what your geekery is, because technology touches every part of your life. Well, cosplay doesn't touch every part of your life. You don't need to learn it, but it does touch every geekery, right?
Well, I think what it is that no matter what your hobby is,
Even if
it is
it's
possible to make a costume related to it.
Yeah, I mean, people dress as sports people cosplay, right? When they go to cheer for their teams, or the mascots are basically cosplay. I can't even think of a single geekery.
Theater geeks love making costumes.
Theater is cosplay.
Yeah.
It's the same. I can't think of a single geekery that cosplay does not cross over with.
Streaking.
You can cosplay as Lady Godiva. Or many other things.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.